All right, everybody, welcome to Cisco Live Amsterdam 2025. My name is Hank Preston. I'm a principal engineer here in Learning and Certifications, and I am excited for so many reasons to deliver today's presentation, How to be a Network Engineer in an Artificial Age. I've been thinking recently as I was coming up into Amsterdam, because I've been talking about similar topics for a really long time, and today's presentation is special. It's a presentation, it is a session 8 years in the making, believe it or not. It was the year 2017, I'm pretty sure that was 8 years ago, in Berlin, and I delivered this session, reimagining the Cisco SE as a developer. It was the initial version of the content that has turned into this session. I just looked back and I was flipping through it, reminding myself about kind of where we've come over the last 8 to 10 years in the networking industry. There were some things that I liked about this, right? Shortly after this one, I was back in Vegas and I delivered the inaugural launch of how to be a network engineer in a programmable age. In Berlin, I didn't know programmability was the age. I still thought it was the year of cloud. And my buddy Donkey Korn, the cloud we all ended up with, was kind of co-starring with me in that session as it went in. But even back then, we talked about the ages and how we went through the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, and it's just continued as we've gone forward. I used to always have fun talking about the OSI model, right? I don't bring it up near as much these days anymore, but I was fond when I looked back, and I still think that there's some truth to these elements, right? How many network engineers in the audience, right? We still pretty much feel like the physical layer and like half the data link layer is black magic, right? Generally, we plug the cable in and we go, please, and then if it doesn't, we flip it over and we plug it in and maybe it'll work now, all right? We're really excited about these layers. All right, the oh yeah, we got this layers. And then still today, even after 8 years of programmability and applications, I still don't want anybody to ask me about the top 3 layers, right? We'll just leave those alone. Enough nostalgia. You all are here for today's age. How to be a network engineer in an artificial age. Now, when I started talking about programmability, I was really honest with everybody that would come and listen to me. I have no idea what I'm doing. Literally make this stuff up as I go. And I bring this up and I continue to remind people this fact because help me out here. How many people out there, be honest, feel like everybody else around you has everything under control? Everybody else is an expert. Everyone else is staying on top of the topics, right? They know about this AI thing. They know what all these letters that people are spouting out mean, right? We all assume everybody around us has their stuff together. Trust me, we don't. We definitely don't. And that's my favorite part of the community that we have in networking in general, right? We all live in our little data center closets. Some of us in our data center closets have to share it with the hot water tank, right? And then we feel like we're alone, but we're not. We're a big community figuring out these transitions as we go through. And we're gonna do the same thing in artificial intelligence, and I promise you I'm in this with you because I have no idea what I'm doing, but I pretend really well. So the ages of networking, my graphics team has gotten slightly better. Carl is here living his way through the Stone Age. We made our way through the Middle Ages where we dealt with WAN design. We all transitioned to IPv6. IPv6 is always in your face when you don't need it. I just had to push Nicole off the stage so that I could come up and talk because she just wants IPv6 everywhere. But we've dealt with that, we've dealt with it. The Renaissance was fun, right? We had to learn and deal with SDN, software-defined networking. Everybody told us that networking engineers were going to go away. You were irrelevant. Cisco didn't matter anymore. White boxes, controllers in the cloud. OpenFlow was going to change the world. It changed a few worlds here and there. The Renaissance, my favorite part of the Renaissance, and I tell this joke, I've been doing it for 8 years, and I'm going to tell it again. All right, what did I learn as a Cisco SE? I've been here for almost 15 years. One of the first things I learned in sales training is when you have a product that is hot, that everybody loves, that is sold really, really well, every now and then you have to add a little more pizzazz, right? Make it better, get people excited about it again. And there is a surefire way to accomplish that single fact. Anybody know what it is? Put an X in the product name. The Renaissance brought us VXLAN, because we had VLANs way back here. It had been too long, we needed something new, right? VXLANs happily are still around. We don't have VXXLANs yet, but it'll come, mark my words, I make the prediction now. We moved into the programmability epic, where I really have enjoyed myself. I loved this time. right? I look back and I was like, great, we made it to automation. We understand programmability. NetDevOps has become real-ish, right? I thought I could retire and just be happy, right? We made it to programmability. And then AI happened. And I was like, really? I got to do this again? Anybody else feel that way? I just barely held on through automation, and now I got to learn something new. But here we are, and I've had to evolve as well. The artificial intelligence era, generative AI, pretty cool stuff. We're going to talk about how that factors in a little bit today. We've got training, LLM, Rocky V2, agents, right? Carl looks like an agent. He's just trying to like fit in himself, right? He also thought he was almost to retirement and he could get away with this one, but he has to deal with AI as well. Artificial intelligence has come on so fast. Anybody else feel that way? So fast. The first time I retitled this presentation to Artificial Age from Programmability was last year in Amsterdam. And I sat down and I said, okay, Hank, it's time to figure this out. Let's start to learn. And I took a look at the news. What's out there about AI? Is this really important? And there were a few things that really hit me on it. And I knew AI was going to be big as soon as I hit the news. You know why? How many other technologies that we've dealt with as network engineers have been able to get Chuck Robbins to meet with the Pope? VXLAN didn't do it, but AI brought Cisco's big shot to the real big house. And I was like, that's pretty awesome. All right, I better dive in, figure out what this AI is all about. A few months later after this was in like February-ish, I was back in Vegas talking about artificial intelligence and networking, and it was time to look at the news again. And I was like, all right, it's okay, where are we? What's latest? Has the AI bubble burst? 10 reasons AI is overrated. Is it worth investing $1 trillion in generative artificial intelligence? It was like whiplash, right? In February, everything's great, we're meeting with the Pope. Now it's like, it's not worth it, it's a bubble burst. And now I'm back again. All right, what's new? What's new? It's been like 6 months, so I hit the news again. And it was interesting, right? DeepSeek's AI shockwave hits NVIDIA hard, wiping out billions. Boy, that was a day. What a Monday that was. And I was like, wow, maybe the trillions wasn't worth it. And then a little bit later, this headline hits. DeepSeek may not be as disruptive as claimed. They actually invested like over $1 billion. All right, okay. Everybody calm down, we'll see where we land. We continue along and we're like, okay, will California revive nuclear power to feed AI energy demands? Doesn't feel like that long ago we thought nuclear was dangerous, right? We need to get rid of that and go through green energy all the way. But we bring the latest shiny tool and all of a sudden bring back the atoms. Let's split some stuff up again, make some power because we got to feed those hungry beasts. It's not all bad news, right? There's a lot of organizations out there dealing with artificial intelligence, and it's not all bad news. I was happy to see this quote. Meta promises it won't release dangerous AI systems. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you very much. I appreciated that headline. And then as I was packing to come here, I just had to shake my head. Because concern over Google ending its ban on AI weapons and surveillance. Oh my Lord. It's like up and down, trying to figure out where this AI stuff, and it's not gonna end. And so where are we? You've seen this before, the Gartner hype cycle. I keep asking every time I do this session, all right, where are we? Where do we think we are? Are we here? Who thinks we're here? Hands? Anybody? No? Oh, I got one. All right. Here? Who thinks we're approaching the top? Ooh, some in the back. How many people think we fell this way? Ooh, all right. Yeah, it's hard to know. It's hard to know. And then I realized I was actually talking with a buddy of mine, Tom Davies, works with me here, and I was going through like the insanity that AI is, and we realized we needed, the Gartner hype cycle just doesn't do it for AI. So I went in and I sketched a new hype cycle. I think this is what's going on with AI. All right, it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down, it's back and forth. It goes backwards for a little while, and then we head back in that direction. I don't know where we are on this graph, but this feels more realistic with artificial intelligence, right? But none of that matters. None of that matters because AI is here, and we got to deal with it. So here's Carl. He's back. He's been diving into some AI, and he's got Mr. Packets, the network AI assistant, right? The future of where we're headed. Because the network is not isolated. We've evolved the network for years. Plenty of times have gone through. Network used to look like this, routers, switches, servers, right? Remember this? It's great, good time to be a network engineer, because you could touch it. You could walk into the closet, you could move the toilet paper to the side, and you could touch your network. It was painted teal green in silkscreen white letters. It said Cisco. Networks were awesome. But it moved forward, right? We got into some of the cloud stuff. Things started to grow. We had blade switches started to pop up. Virtualization went in. I'm glad to see we've pretty much got over our angst about VMs. Right? Anybody out there remember days as a network engineer completely flabbergasted that there was a virtual switch? Right? What is a virtual switch? I had no idea. But we've gotten over that. We had to, because eventually we actually put containers inside of VMs and had to remind ourselves that under everything is some IPv6, sure, maybe, but really under everything is Linux. And we got Linux networking with the Linux bridge. Clouds became exciting. We talked about Donkey Corn. He was all the rage for a while. And we evolved, right? Things came at us. We had to deal with overlays and software-defined WANs. Those are pretty exciting. A few years ago, we all had something that we had to deal with that really transformed what our focus was, and we had concepts like hybrid work became really critical. SASE, source of truth, full stack observability, infrastructure as code. What we do as network engineers, what makes up the network continues to change. The topics, the technologies we're after. And that brings us to artificial intelligence. Still not exactly sure where to put it, so I just kind of go around everything, right? AI is just about everywhere. Maybe someday it'll hone in, right? But AI is not just about like doing stuff, right? We have to adjust what our network looks like. So we've got these new fancy servers with GPUs and DPUs and LLMs. I don't really know what all those letters mean, but they tell me they're important, and we're selling a bunch of them. And then just like 20 minutes ago, I actually had to update this slide. Anybody at the keynote yesterday? Now we've actually put DPUs in the switches. That's, I don't know why, but sure, I'm in for it. In for a penny, in for a pound. AI is cool, it's interesting, it's everywhere, and I'm just buying into this, right? I don't think we need the rest of it. We're just gonna AI wash everything. Just put it everywhere. Just, hopefully not, right? We've gone through this before. There was greenwashing, there was cloud washing, but we're at this phase. It starts to feel like we're in this place, but that's still okay. It does have value. There are things that we as network engineers can get out of artificial intelligence. Let's talk about Hank's opinion, completely just my opinion, on how we can take advantage of AI. First up, let's use AI to find answers to questions. Let me correct that a little bit. Let's use AI to help find answers to questions, because it's not always completely accurate. I started my journey with AI with a question that I often have to figure out, like every time I do anything in the data center. What type of 40 gig transceiver will work in my Nexus 93180FX, right? How many times have we had to tackle this question again or ask somebody to do it? I said, all right, it's a softball. This should be easy, right? I know where to find the answer. AI should be able to know where to find the answer. What do I get? Oh, my Lord, I get a wall of text. I wanted a part number. I got a wall of text. All right, check the hardware compatibility list. Here are some things that might work. Yeah, I know what might work. They fit into the slot. That's not hard. And then it's verify the specific part number and firmware version to ensure I gave up on this one. All right, I'll go back to the way I really do this, and I say, okay, can you tell me where the link to Cisco's transceiver compatibility tool is? Because that's the real answer on how to do it. What does AI tell me? I'm sorry, I'm an AI. I have no idea where to find that. But if you go to Cisco's website and you search, no, I'm not going to do that. Back to Google. Just back to Google. I do it often enough that that's as far as I had to go, and it just gave me the link. I was happy. Solved that problem, got to where I was going to go. But I didn't give up, right? One mistake is not a problem, so I move forward. What kind of network is needed for AI, right? That seemed like something AI should have some opinions about. And I got an answer. It was decent. There was some good stuff in there. But as soon as I started this, I was like, all right, I can get into AI, right? AI's got a bit of a sense of humor. Or maybe it was trolling me right up there. First line, it depends. Ah, come on. It always depends. I know this. I know this. But we do have to find ourselves building networks for artificial intelligence. Or at least, I don't know, marketing tells me that we have to figure out how to build networks for artificial intelligence. And so let's talk a little bit about that. I dove in, right? We put together some white paper, some documentation to help engineers build artificial intelligent networks ready for it. And what did I find? Something that made me really happy. QoS, that's right. Can't count me out, baby. It always comes back to quality of service. right? Big packets, lots of traffic, prioritization, all that's really, really important. Or maybe not, right? A little bit longer. We say, how do we solve QoS problems for real in the world? Just more bandwidth, right? So now it's like, let's just shove 400 gigabit ports directly to the server. That'll solve the problem, right? Right? I don't want to do QoS. No, we're just going to, more bandwidth. We'll solve it that way. But the true answer to what type of network is here is Cisco has got your back. Cisco is in your corner. You all don't have to sweat this at all. Just buy Cisco's AI pods. This presentation brought to you by Cisco's AI pods. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. One step at a time. Somebody else will figure it out, and then they'll tell us what it is. Other use cases for AI, lots of exciting options. Right? We've all heard this, generate configurations or code with AI. Right? Here this option. Right? I don't need to figure it out. I can just ask ChatGPT, Llama, Gemini, I don't know, Ralph. I don't know what all these AI names are, but you could ask one of them to figure it out. And so we'll take a look at it. What can we possibly do? How can I add a VLAN 99 to a trunk port on a Cisco switch? I gave it a softball, another one that should be easy. Right? Doesn't know how to do that. Give me some steps. What I was looking for, I'm sure some of the network engineers out there know what I was looking for. Did it know the important 3 letters, add? Add. Anybody ever forget that? I'm willing to admit it. I've taken down a network or 2. Yeah. We should get pins, right? You get another one every time you take down a network because you forgot the add keyword. We'll get to that later. All right, so this wasn't bad. I was pretty happy with it. Something else I have to do occasionally. What is the QoS configuration to work on a switch to make FTP traffic best effort? Now, a little more complex. I wanted to see, could it handle this? Gives me an answer. I'm not going to read it to you. I did when it came through, and I was like, okay, that's fair, right? It seems reasonable, looked good, gave me some good explanation of what was going on. I like that. And then I also appreciated the end. Please note, QoS configurations can be complex and should be tailored to your specific network needs and conditions. I appreciated that, right? A reminder, don't just copy and paste whatever you get from the internet. Right? You always need to take a look at it, and I think that's a fair memory, something to keep in mind for anything we do. I continued my exploration. How can I perform password recovery on a Catalyst 3550 switch? Why did I go Catalyst 3550? Because that seems to be what we have in our labs, right? Piles of old gear, and I need to remember how to reset it. I got reasonable answers here. This also looked pretty good, so I was like, all right, there's some good stuff that was out there. Then we get to the one that actually made me pause for a minute. I'd been working on a project for a while, and I said, okay, let's see if AI can help me here. There's a session I did, I think it was yesterday, on programmability skills for engineers who don't want to code, because not all of us want to write code all the time. And I've got a use case in there that involves some basic fundamentals. And so I said, let's see how AI can do with it. And I said, all right, use the data, this is all I gave it. Use the data from the below CSV, and so it's just some details of some VPN connections. And then this Jinja template, can you generate me configurations? Let's see what it can do. And it generated some configs. And I was like, all right, pretty good. Wasn't impressed yet. I mean, if you've paid attention to any of the examples from OpenAI, like this is pretty rudimentary. Copilot, all these tools can do that. And I was like, awesome. But it wasn't done. The AI continued to go, and it continued. And it says, please note, there's a typo in the Jinja 2 template specifically, and I immediately stopped, and I'm like, well, hold on. I don't make typos. I was insulted. There is no possible way that I made a typo. Oh, nope, I made a typo. The coolest part about this is it saw not that it saw the typo, that the configurations it generated for me fixed the typo, fixed the mistake. That was pretty awesome. I was like, all right, that's valuable. And then it continued. It went on and said, hey, additionally, you might have some problems if you actually do this. The short version is I asked it to create different configurations for VPNs, and it says, hey, if you actually apply this all to the same router, it's not going to work, which is true. You can't actually apply multiple crypto maps to different devices. You're going to have an issue. And so it gave me a fairly reasonable alternative that I could do. And I was like, all right, now I started to see some power, some things that were in here. Because it was able to take what I gave it. I didn't tell it was for networking, but it could interpret that. It could figure out that I had a typo, sure, but it could look at that and say, that wouldn't work. Like it intuited aspects of what I was trying to accomplish, and then make kind of that next step of thought and be like, here, this might be what you're after. Now, in my case, these configs were going to different routers, but I didn't tell it that. So I was pretty impressed with that. So when we come to this idea, generating configurations or code, right? My advice is proceed with caution, right? Don't not do it, right? But just be careful, check the work that's out there. My real excitement around generating configurations in code is not this type of a use case. It's something I haven't heard anybody really kind of talk about this way, but we've seen examples even from Cisco. You may have seen this video example from the security team where you're kind of going through and you're providing some input and things are happening. I like to consider this like the next generation of interfaces, a natural language interface into our systems. We're still responsible for knowing what we want and what's possible, but we don't necessarily have to memorize every single command and the ACL syntax, and is it a network mask or a wildcard mask? Like, I've got some excitement around the potential that's here. Other things we can do in the configuration space is understanding configurations in code. Have you ever been in a place where someone sends you a configuration block and says, hey, can you check this for me? Can you take a look at it? And you get it and you're like, I don't even know what they're trying to accomplish. Well, I gave it that shot and say, hey, can you just add some comments to this configuration telling me what's going on? And it did a pretty darn good job, right? Added comments, kind of told me what was going through. So, all right, that's a nice use case, like analyzing configurations for the network. We can also use it as a use case to understand code. So here's a bit of this is JavaScript I did for a project years and years ago. And hey, can you tell me what this is going on? Most of you network engineers don't have to know JavaScript, but hey, it went through and sure, it actually dove into it and could break down what was going on. Really kind of an interesting use case, and I think that fits in really well. Not necessarily generating the configs in code, but helping me understand what's there. This is a place that I've got some real value. Because in my role these days, I'm a more senior engineer. We got lots of other engineers doing work, and I need to do reviews and feedback. This can help kind of break down, speed that process up. So these are some of the things that I think right today we should all feel very comfortable doing those. But very quickly, in the near future, new things I think are on the horizon, potential that we should have our eyes open for and be excited and figure out how we're going to dive into them. One of my favorites, right? Next generations of assurance. We're seeing this in Splunk. We're seeing this in all of the tools that are there. Ways to kind of analyze all the data that comes at us out of the network. syslog messages, and NetFlow data, SNMP, all this stuff, and figure it out faster. Like, great use case, right? I think we're going to be able to see some really interesting stuff in that place. Eventually, this one may make us feel a little worse, right? Unsolicited configuration advice and oversight as we're doing our job. And so I've got Carl back. Mr. Packets pops up. Hey, what's going on today? Hey, you know, I'm just doing a little bit of network updates. And then Mr. Packet stops in and says, I'm sorry, Carl, I cannot let you do that. How would you feel when that happens, right? What do you mean I can't do that? I'm the engineer, not you. Oh yeah, but look, you forgot the add keyword. In this case, that wouldn't be so bad, right? I think there's some potential in this space that goes through. And I'm happy to announce I've been doing some AI prototyping, and I have brought Mr. Packets to life. Mr. Packets is kind of alive, right? I've been using him a little bit with some of the work that's in there. Here's an example use case I had. I was debugging some OSPF issues, right? I'm sure you've all done that. Something's wrong with the routing protocol. You turn on some debugs, and you get like 1,000 lines of debug. And then you start scrolling, trying to figure it out. And I have no doubt we do. Like, I could have figured this out on my own. But I said, hey, what if I just copy, paste, hey, Mr. Packets, can you tell me what's wrong with my OSPF setup? Here are the debugs. And sure enough, Mr. Packets did a great job. Said, all right, let's check it out. Dead intervals, check, check, 4040. Hello, 1010. Subnet mask, whoops, that was the problem. Mismatched subnet mask. Almost immediately, it could dive into those debugs and tell me what's there. So I see an option for network team members, right? These augmentations to what we do, not replacing us. Let me be absolutely clear. I don't think we'll ever quite get there, but augmenting our abilities, right? We're all professionals. We've put years and years into learning how networking and infrastructure works, earning certifications, right? And I always joke, I was the smartest network engineer in my entire career the day I passed my CCIE. Every day since then, I've become a worse network engineer because I'm not studying, I'm not keeping it up. It's hard to maintain all that. But having a tool that can help us augment our work, right? There's some real potential in there. I'm excited about that. Maybe eventually Mr. Packets is off the leash, Carl goes on vacation, he can handle it for now. I think we've got some time before that happens. There are other places we're looking at prototypes and trying to consider where AI might fit in. And here's a conceptual idea that I've been working with the CML team on to figure out what might look good. And so here's the idea, is that I've got the CML interface, we embed the Cisco AI assistant, and we get a nice chat interface into the support knowledge about the tool. We can ask it about, hey, what are the features that are there? What's possible to work with in this tool? And back to natural language inputs, having that ability to deal with it as it goes forward. And so here's what we can figure out what CML can accomplish. Right? It says, hey, and I know that I don't know how easy it is for you to read. It's hard for me here, but I just asked, hey, how do I start a packet capture inside of CML? Gives me some nice steps. That's super cool. And then it goes through and says, all right, this sounds interesting. Maybe I can do a little bit more. Can you help me out with, hey, I'm working on OSPF, back to that same use case. I don't want all the packets on the link. How would I filter just for OSPF packets? Goes through, gives me some details, gives me a BPF filter that I can put on the packet capture. All really good usefulness. And then maybe I want to dive deeper in. Hey, is it possible to learn a little bit more about packet capture? I'm new to this feature set. What can you offer me here? So we put that in there, and this is where the integration back to learning comes really high. We have training in Cisco U all about CML, how to do these things. And so it says, sure, let me load up a topology that you can use for a lab, and then go ahead, feel free to launch that lab as soon as the graphic catches up to me, and then it can actually let you kind of integrate the Cisco U learning, there it goes, Cisco U learning experience into the product sets so they're tighter. We don't have to jump so far apart. Now this concept of an approach, I think, has some real legs to it. Gives us an ability to kind of put the learning, the training, the information at the moment of need when we're trying to do stuff, right? And take advantage of the things that are already available. Super exciting feature set that we're trying to figure out how to make this real. All right, does that seem useful? I'm also doing product polls right now. Does this seem like it would help out? These type of, okay, we're just trying to gain. Like I said, we're just in the early stages of some of these areas. But there is a lot of potential that we can ask. Which brings us to here. What should we all be doing as network engineers today to stay up with artificial intelligence, maintain relevance, right? Well, we are trying to help out here at Learning Certifications with Cisco U. We have an entire area dedicated to artificial intelligence, where we've got tutorials, labs, information, all sorts of things that you can dive right into to start understanding. And many of these have been kind of built specifically for us, right? They're network engineers in mind, right? Understanding AI and LLMs as a network engineer, right? Introduction to Retrieval Augmented Generation by Jason, who's probably over there somewhere. Network engineers doing things for other network engineers. Now our certifications have to keep up, and we've been doing certification updates, and right on that AI page, you can see what's been done to some of the certifications. So across associate, professional, and expert, we're bringing in the early phases of artificial intelligence skills and expectations to help you stay relevant as you continue to learn and grow your careers and earn those next certifications. So take advantage of those. And so as we come to the end, I'm actually doing really well on time for a change. I want us all just to recognize that AI is here, right? We can't stick our heads in the sand. We got to absorb it. We got to admit that this is something we can take advantage of. I'm questioning Carl's clothing choice changes. I don't think we need to go quite that far. But hey, there's stuff that we can get out of this. And as I said, right, we are all in this together. We're trying to figure out where AI is going to go, what the impact is going to be on all of our jobs, our careers, the things we have to know, the things we have to do. And I promise you, right, I'm right there with you. Feel free to reach out. Stay up with what we're doing. We're going to have more content coming out, helping, right, every step along the way. If you were on this journey with me through network automation and NetDevOps, you know that we're not going to get everything right the first time, right? But we'll get there in the end, and we'll work on this together, right? We'll work on it, and we'll make sure that we all come along and we do a better job for ourselves, our career, and our companies, our organizations. Always feel free to reach out. hapresto@cisco.com. Follow my blogs. We'll start to see some new things around AI hitting there. There's lots of stuff going on. It'll take us some time to get there, but we'll do it together. And I guarantee I'll be back wherever Cisco Live Europe is next year. I'll be back with the latest updates, right? We'll see where we are in the hype cycle, right? I can't wait to see what the headlines look like a year from now. I'll be honest, a little bit concerned what they might look like, but hey, I'm optimistic. They'll be great, and we'll do this all together. All right, with that, thank you all so much for spending some of your time at Cisco Live. There's so many excellent opportunities for learning, education, networking. Take advantage of them while you're here. There's still time. And visit more of the sessions here at the Cisco U Theater. Check out what they've got going on in the DevNet Zone. Visit our demo booths, the World of Solutions. Take advantage of everything we have. And when you get home and you're exhausted, keep going, because all of our content, or a lot of our content, is made available on demand at ciscolive.com, so the learning doesn't have to stop when you leave Amsterdam. Thank you, everybody. I'll talk to you again soon.